with Trump returning to office, Palantir could be on the verge of explosive growth. We're talking about AI that could transform warfare, surveillance, and national security. In this video, we're breaking down exactly how Trump's return could ignite Palantir's dominance in ways you never imagined. Trump's historical stance on defense? He's all about flexing America's military muscle. But while everyone's freaking out about ChatGPT, there's a far more powerful AI player lurking in the shadows. Palantir, the secretive tech giant, is revolutionizing how governments wage war and gather intelligence. AI isn't just cute chatbots and funky art generators. Palantir's software is out there right now, shaping the outcomes of real-world conflicts. Their tech is deciding where missiles land and which targets get prioritized. Don't believe me? Palantir's CEO, Alex Karp, admitted their software is responsible for most of the targeting in Ukraine. We're talking about AI actively influencing a major European war. This isn't science fiction anymore, folks. Ukraine's just the start. Palantir's reach extends into every corner of the U.S. government. They're crunching data for the CIA, optimizing logistics for the Army, and who knows what else. The full extent of their involvement? Probably classified 6 ways to Sunday. Now imagine Trump back in office. A guy who's all about beefing up the military and taking a tough stance on national security. Palantir's influence could explode. We're talking about a potential avalanche of government contracts that would dwarf their current deals. Take that $178 million contract for next-gen military intelligence. That's likely just scratching the surface. With Trump in the White House, Palantir could gain unprecedented access to top-level decision-makers. We're talking about the power to shape policy, influence military strategy, and fundamentally alter America's approach to national security in the AI age. But government contracts are just one piece of the puzzle. There's a whole other dimension to Palantir's potential dominance we haven't even touched on. Before we dive into that, we need to talk about the man behind the curtain, the Silicon Valley kingmaker who's been pulling strings in both the tech world and Washington. You know who I'm talking about, right? Remember when tech CEOs were just nerds in hoodies? Those days are long gone. Now they're shaping global politics from the shadows. Peter Thiel, Palantir co-founder, isn't just a tech billionaire anymore. He's become a kingmaker in Washington, and his relationship with Trump could be the key to Palantir's future dominance. Thiel's got a direct line to the former president's ear, and with Trump heading back to the White House, Thiel's influence could skyrocket. He recently expressed a more hopeful outlook on a second Trump term, saying, "In spite of many misgivings I had earlier this year, it makes me more hopeful that a second Trump term will be better than the first." But here's where it gets really interesting. Thiel isn't just talking politics for fun. He's got skin in the game. As a co-founder of Palantir, Thiel stands to benefit massively if Trump's policies favor the company. We're talking about potential conflicts of interest that could make your head spin. Think about it. You've got a tech billionaire with direct access to the president, and his company just happens to be bidding on massive government contracts. Does that sound like a level playing field to you? Watchdog groups are raising red flags left and right, warning about the ethical minefield we're walking into. Joe Lonsdale, another Palantir co-founder, has also been publicly supporting Trump, aligning Palantir with Republican-friendly policies and potentially making the company more attractive to conservative investors and stakeholders. Thiel has been pouring millions into Republican campaigns and causes. Every dollar he spends is another thread in the web of influence he's weaving, directly impacting Palantir's potential for growth. We're not just talking about Palantir getting more contracts or making more money. This is about the potential for unprecedented access to decision makers at the highest levels of government. Imagine a world where Palantir's AI isn't just analyzing data for the government, but actively shaping policy decisions. With Thiel's connections and Trump's return to power, we could be looking at a scenario where Palantir becomes the invisible hand guiding national security strategy. Are we ready for what comes next? Because Thiel's influence could supercharge Palantir's growth in ways we've never seen before. In the world of AI and national security, information is power. And with Thiel's connections, Palantir might just be on the verge of becoming the most powerful company you've never heard of. The balance of power between Silicon Valley and Washington is shifting, and Palantir is at the center of it all. Palantir's potential role in a second Trump administration is alarming. Their system goes beyond simple surveillance. It predicts and acts. How far are we willing to push the boundaries of privacy for national security? Palantir's work with ICE has been controversial for years. Their software doesn't just analyze data. It has real-world impacts on people's lives. We're talking about a system that can identify and track migrants for arrests and workplace raids. And that's just what's public knowledge. Now, picture Trump's tough immigration stance powered by Palantir's AI. It's not a physical wall anymore, but an invisible net of surveillance that could ensnare anyone deemed suspicious. Supporters argue it could boost security and streamline processes. But at what cost to our civil liberties? And this goes way beyond immigration. We're looking at a system that could potentially track anyone, anywhere. With Trump returning to office, the demand for these tools could explode. Alex Karp, Palantir's CEO, isn't backing down. He's pushing harder, claiming there's a moral duty to arm Western governments with this tech. His argument? It's crucial for staying ahead of global threats. But why can't we have both security and privacy? Is it really an either-or situation? Experts are raising red flags. Without proper oversight, we might sleepwalk into a surveillance state where privacy becomes extinct. And once we cross that line, there's no going back. A 2025 with Palantir deeply embedded in a new Trump administration is mind-boggling. It's not just about more contracts, it's a fundamental shift in government operations, decision-making, and data use. The scale is staggering, but surveillance is just the start. In the AI and national security world, information is the new currency, and Palantir, they're sitting on a gold mine. The battlefield of tomorrow is already here, and it's digital. Palantir is at the forefront, transforming warfare with AI that's responsible for most of the targeting in Ukraine. This isn't science fiction, it's our new reality. What's truly mind-boggling is the scale of this transformation. General Mark Milley, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, called it the most significant fundamental change in the character of war ever recorded in history. We're talking about AI that analyzes battlefield data in real time, predicts enemy movements, and optimizes logistics in ways that were unthinkable just a few years ago. But here's the kicker. The U.S. isn't alone in this race. China and Russia are pouring billions into military AI. So why aren't we more worried? Because Palantir is giving us an edge that's hard to match. Alex Karp, Palantir's CEO, recently dropped a bombshell. Almost everyone who's doing kind of munitions and targeting at scale with hardware and software is also American. That's not just bragging. That's a serious competitive advantage. Now imagine Trump's America First policies supercharging this AI arms race. We're talking about a fundamental shift in how we approach defense. Trump's administration could fast-track AI integration into every aspect of military operations. And Palantir? They're perfectly positioned to capitalize on that. But let's zoom out for a second. The potential market for military AI is projected to hit $1 trillion. That's not just a number. It's a seismic shift in global military power. With Trump returning to office, Palantir could be at the forefront of this technological gold rush. I don't understand why more people aren't talking about this, because the implications go far beyond just the military. When you've got AI this powerful in the hands of a few tech companies and their favorite politicians, you've got to ask, what does that mean for the rest of us? Are we ready for a world where wars are won and lost by algorithms? Palantir under Trump could reshape the global landscape. We're looking at a tech giant deeply embedded in military operations and immigration enforcement. With Trump back in the White House, Palantir's influence could expand dramatically. The implications are staggering. Palantir's systems could become the backbone of everything from war strategies to border control. We're talking about AI that could see all, know all, and potentially decide all. Here's the kicker. What happens when this incredibly powerful AI is in the hands of Silicon Valley billionaires and their political allies? It's not just about technology anymore. It's about the very future of our democracy. How do we ensure that this kind of power doesn't undermine the foundations of our society.